I'm so pleased that you guys are here with me today as we go over the three ultimate keys for anyone to be successful. Because I fully believe that by going over all three of these, you'll be able to understand your true value and be able to communicate that to others. And that starts with transactions, talents, and memories. I'm a big alliteration fan. I'm a big fan of like patterns and puzzles. I really wanted to go transactions, talents, and trauma, but I felt like that'd be a little too much. But let's go ahead and start with the obvious one, with talents. Well, okay, duh. In order to be successful, you need a talent to be able to do something to work, right? Yes, absolutely. But there's a core fundamental problem with how a lot of people approach this. And that's where they feel like they don't have any talent. And that's simply not true. I absolutely do not believe that anyone can be without a talent. Breathing is a talent. I know that seems absolutely absurd, but when you are able to focus your breathing in the right way, it does come with mental and physical benefits. There are people who specialize in this, some for mental health eh, development, some for physical health development, some even for spiritual health development. And that is, in and of itself, something so innate to all of us that these people say, well, you're breathing wrong, or you could breathe better. We're obviously doing fine, right? I'm breathing fine. But there are people out there whose innate talent is something that just seems so simple. Drawing is absolutely a talent to have. But there's also probably people out there who are far more talented at drawing than you are. So why even bother? Except there's so many reasons as to why you should bother. For one, these people are doing their own thing. They're in their own places. You might meet people in your area who need you to be able to draw. With the release of the internet and everything else that we have going on, that does not necessarily mean that you won't find people in your area who need your help. AI. We have AI art now, and that seems so suffocating sometimes, but it doesn't have to be because sometimes people don't even know what they need. They need you to come in and not only be the hand of the piece of art, but also the mind and the mouth. How do you communicate what needs to be done? How do you understand and get these emotions out there? It's so easy for you to feel like you don't have talent or your talent isn't enough. But if you have a job at all, then you absolutely have a talent. And it doesn't matter if your talent is delivering the mail. You have a ton of practice with driving around. You have a ton of practice with sorting things. You have a ton of practice with making sure things go in the right spot. That to me sounds like you could be an organizer of some sort. There are so many people who would pay a ton of money for people to come in and organize all of their digital work. I know people who have done this in homes. They go into somebody's house and they physically organize and rearrange things for that person so that their life goes from being a cluttered mess to something that's absolutely maintainable, no matter how crazy or chaotic it was before. Nothing new leaves the room. Tons of new stuff comes in, and yet it's so much more manageable. If you work at McDonald's and you're flipping burgers, that to me sounds like you have cooking and food handling experience. And I'm not saying it's easy to just take what your talents are and focus it into something else, but you have the ability to run a restaurant, to run a food stand, to run a food truck, to where you could absolutely be able to maintain your own hours, keep the all the profits, and develop your own prices. Now, it's obviously not that easy because if it was, everyone would do it. But the first thing that you need to do is recognize that you have a talent. And the key to this is sitting back and thinking, what do I do? What do I enjoy doing? And then to recognize that Okay, now that I know that these are the things that I do, am I interested in them? One of the concepts that I teach in my narrative classes is the concept of play. And you break that down into could, would, should. What am I capable of doing? Doesn't mean that you're the best. It's what can you do? I can draw. I can't draw well. And when I said earlier, there's someone better than you at art, everyone is better than me at art. Most kids are better than me at art. I do a horrific, horrific job with it. And yet, there's a comic strip on the YouTube page that tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people subscribe to because, and it's just stick figures, by the way, art that I could even do that still pulls in so much attention to it. So when I come in and say that I can draw, it means I am able to put pencil to paper. And from there, I have the ability to learn how to do it more. I have the ability to practice it. I have the ability to study it. So when I say, could you do something? Can you do something at the base fundamental level? Are you a cook? No. Gordon Ramsay is a cook, but I can flip a burger. Perfect. Can you draw? No, but I can put pencil to paper. Okay, there we go. Now the next one is would, right? Would you do something? And this isn't, this is mostly about passions, but it's a little bit more than that. It's about intrigue. It's about interest. Every day that you went to school and probably hated it, learning is something that is built into all of us. So the question is, would you invest the time into color theory? Would you invest the practice into drawing something more? Would you invest the time into relationships that even if you're 40, 50, 60 years old, drawing at a 2-year-old level, that these relationships would come in and say, you're doing great. That would help you boost that confidence. Could you do something? Would you do something? And should you do something? And the should, it's not necessarily about like legalities or morality or anything like that, though that could definitely play a part of it. If you're out selling illegal narcotics, well, you know what? They have a job for that is legal narcotics. And unless you're like a kingpin, you could probably actually make a lot more doing it that way than the way you are doing it now. But overall, it's more about the responsibility that you have to yourself and to others, more than the law, more than anything else. When you come in, again, I'm going to go back to the drawing example, your responsibility to offer your talents to the world, who someone out there needs your creativity, needs your skill, and your responsibility to yourself. Is this something that you can do, would like to do? And is it your responsibility to offer yourself something that you would enjoy, and your responsibility to others to, in some way, shape, or form, take your talents and make their lives better with it? That, in and of itself, is something that you need to figure out. To figure out if that's not something that you have, because everyone has it, but to figure out what it is. Once you do that, or perhaps you've already done that, it's time to move on to the next part, which is transaction. And the best way to understand this is absolutely through money, but it also doesn't have anything to do with money. Because when you break down transaction, it's about an exchange and it's about a value. So when we're talking about the value, if you are in a relationship with someone and you love them, they love you back. It's not an exchange of money, but instead, because that is illegal, instead, it's about an exchange of emotion. But there is a give and a take there. And it seems selfish. And love is supposed to be unselfish, but it's just the natural way that things are. When I'm here creating this content for you, it's completely for free. And sure, there's an advantage to it. I gain more attention, I gain more fans, I gain more followers, and I'll put a link to my branding class below for people to go in and look into that. But overall, the exchange is not money, it's time. You investing time into this for the value that I hope I am offering you is about giving YouTube the ability to sit back and say, this video is worth watching. Let's send it to other people who might need it. You're not going to find me doing this too often, or at least I'm going to try and cleverly squeeze it in. When I say cleverly, I mean if I think it's clever, so it's probably not, but like the video, right? Because that is an exchange. If this video offers you value, like it, because that is the transaction. My website for my services that is linked below has a sales funnel. It means that it gives a ton of information. And I have a free branding training where I don't go into all the details that the class does because that's 5 hours long, but it's 45 to 60 minutes of free content that it really breaks down everything someone needs for a brand. And it's there in exchange for an email so that I can contact people, so that I can see if they want to buy my stuff, so I can see if they're free on Friday for a play date. All of this stuff is a transaction. And hopefully I get the cash that I need. But the funny thing about money is that it's not really real. If you pull a $1 bill out of your pocket, it's not worth $1. It takes less than $1 in labor, shipping, and materials to craft this thing. And yet it is $1. And when you pull a $100 bill out of your pocket, if any of you even carry cash anymore, it's worth the same amount as that $1 bill is. But its value, what we perceive it to be, is different. And I teach all about premium pricing in my course, of course, but that should definitely be edited out, but it's not going to be. Overall, the thing that you need to keep in your mind is that there is value in the exchange. There is value in the email address that I get to be able to come in contact with someone. There's value in you pushing the subscribe button because more than just watching the video and liking the video, you are joining a community of people who find my skills of communication, of branding and business, of narrative useful. And you are connecting with everyone who you will never meet who also clicked that subscribe button. That transaction is an essential part of the direction that you're trying to take. Even if you go out and do volunteer work, if you go out for building houses for people who don't have them, then you are still exchanging your time for the joy that you will get, the positivity you will get, showing that generosity to others. Even the most selfless acts still end up being some sort of a transaction. In some way, you are increasing the abilities that society has. We went over the transaction. We went over the talents. Now it's time for the most important one, memories. Now, this is where I get to completely nerd out about the work that I've done as a narratologist and studying story and developing narrative structures to best help people. And one of the parts of that is the idea that the smallest element of story is an emotion, a behavior, a belief, and a value. And when I say story, I don't mean a movie, I don't mean a book, I don't mean a video game. I definitely could mean a video game. But overall, I'm just talking about a series of events that can be recorded. And as much as we love our technology, our phones, our camera, your mind records things in the most fascinating and in-depth way, no matter how bad your memory is, which I'm certain I have you trumped on that. Your mind records things in the most interesting way. And that in and of itself means that your life is a story. Think about it. Think about your memories and think about the ones that are the strongest, that come to your mind first, and really all of them. And they're all broken down into how you felt about something that happened, what you did as a result of that, what you did or even didn't do, and the reason why the action was taken because you believed it would get you closer or farther from what was most important to you. And when I say what was most important to you, I don't mean your romantic relationship. I mean something deeper. I mean the concept of love that is inherent to all of us, that your significant other is just a physical representation of, that your identity of who you are, the creativity that you show, the pens and the paper and everything else is just a physical manifestation through creativity of who you are. That's what art is that science is the study of the world, but art is the study of people, of ourselves, of others, of societies. What you value most really is what helps shape all of us, all of this, all of who we are as individuals and as people. And this is a key aspect because there are a lot of people who will do branding work. And I'm going to advertise my services above a lot of people's because I offer a service that's very unique coming from the narrative field. But in reality, you could pick any one of them. Some of them are going to be more expensive. Some of them are going to be cheaper. And to be honest, I sometimes wonder why anyone would pick my stuff over going with Steven's stuff over at Brandmasters Academy. I mean, his stuff is completely free on YouTube, plus the other courses that he offers that are a premium price. But overall, the reason why I'll recommend him over anyone else is because of the relationship that I have with him. Never met him, but he helped me. He'll never know my name, but he helped me move from being a narrative designer from the creative space to come into the business space. And that seems like a poor trade-off some days, but like, who would want to leave the creativity side to come into the business side? But for me, narrative is not just about creativity. It's about communication, something I will nerd out about in depth later on. But I wanted to be able to format what I created in so many different ways to help so many different types of people communicate in so many different ways. And that comes from me not doing a good job communicating growing up, not being able to express who I was to the people I needed to express it to. And story was my outlet. But then over time, it became the solution. Your memories are key to taking what you do that is just like what everyone else does. I'm not the first writer. I'm not the first narratologist. I'm not the best writer, not by a long shot. I'd like to be the best narratologist, but that's only because there's like 10 of them, so the competition's really low, and I really enjoy my structure. I don't even have a lot of confidence in myself, but I have a lot of confidence in my structure, and that's what pushes me through. But the thing that also pushes me through is knowing that I have a purpose to be able to share this stuff with others, because the tools that I needed growing up, I can offer them to everyone else. And there are other people who could do the same, but I might be the right person to explain it to somebody. I might be at the right level to explain it to somebody. I might have discovered something new, or I might communicate with someone better. And that overall just comes from who I am. And who I am is based off of all my memories in the way that they were. So when you come forward, it's not just what you sell, it's who you are that absolutely makes a difference in selling someone, convincing someone to buy from you, and in offering a product at a price that people are happy and willing to pay. I mean, I'm sitting over here. I'm not going to get all of you to click the like button, but I'm definitely not going to get a lot of you to buy my classes. But if I was in a crowded room full of people who had millions, tens of millions of dollars, and I asked them for $1 for this video, it wouldn't be any sweat off their nose, because that transaction is all about the perception, all about the value. Because when you have as much money as they do, the value of each individual piece is not as much. So when you're sitting here with all the time that you have, I want you to stop and I want you to think about what your talents are in everything that I talked about. I want you to think about who you are. Dig deep into the memories that matter, into the ones with the strongest emotions, where you did the biggest things because you believe so strongly that what you needed was what was most important. And there's so many people who have a relationship that's so important when they're younger and it's not when they're older. But that's what led you to that first date is what led you to that marriage. So don't dismiss anything, because who you are is what's going to connect you to the people who are happy to transact with you, who are happy to exchange time or communication or money with you. because you took the time to develop a relationship, because I am here offering you value, because I've told you who I am, because hopefully I'm able to relate with you. There's a reason why I started my video off with I am overjoyed to be here and spending time with you to teach you these things because I believe that this will help you find your value and communicate it. I wanted to immediately start the ground with this is who I am. Do you want to connect with me on that? This is what I have to offer. Can I make your life better? This is what matters to me. Does it matter to you? And how can I help you find it? And through that, we can create a transaction. And then beyond that, I can show you what I can do. And then you have that to offer to everybody else. If you want to be successful, it comes down to those three things. Sit down, think about it. Try and consider what that is for you. And then get to work on it because everyone has the ability to run their own business, to work for themselves, to be able to have some kind of positivity in their life for what they're doing. And it all starts with these three things.